Here we go, live again from New York. It's the Coffee Club, back live on Spreaker and Blog Talk Radio. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It sounds like we're on the circus.
I expected you to say, welcome to Felix and Marc's uncircled circus. We have no center ring.
But anyway, we are hopefully broadcasting for the first time in a long time live again on Spreaker. And along with that, we will also broadcast on Blog Talk Radio. And I hope you all enjoy our show. Now, what we're going to do, the first thing is ask Robin, is there any echo? Do you sound clear? Okay, and we're patiently awaiting.
Felix is echoing.
I'm echoing.
That's what it says.
That's not good.
Just an echo in the valley, and I bring back sweet memories of you.
Yeah, yes.
You sound better. Yeah, I tell you, now you don't sound like there's an echo. I can actually hear you.
Well, what you have to do is turn that more.
All right, folks. Felix and I are about 10 feet apart. That's the closest we can get to without starting to echo.
That's good. Now,
it's perfect.
Well, you think so. Why?
Well, that's you. Still echoing.
Echo.
We're going to bring back that cone of silence, Felix.
Hey, Marc, why don't you go to the room and echo?
Actually, I'll go into the kitchen and talk.
No, let's see what happens. Sure.
All right, let me take my coffee here. After all, this is the Coffee Club Network, broadcasting on Spreaker and Blog Talk Radio. You realize, Felix, I could have done this from my living room. Why, to have you embarrass me like this? Stomping me or stumping me? You're not stomping on me, I hope. No echo now. Thank you, Robin. That's fine. Smoke signals. Now that's not fair. They all know my background. Why do I have to mention it again? Don't you wish? Well, I was a teacher and a teacher mentor in the New York City Department of Education for 34 years. I was an English teacher. What else you want me to say? that's very true. I hope not.
Good evening. Can you hear me? It's Don calling.
Dr. Don, how are you?
Okay, I'm good. Always great to talk with you guys. Oh my goodness, that's a hard thing to do. He's too bright and articulate.
No, I don't shine a candle to you, Dr. Don.
No, I wouldn't say that. I do have a question that would be rather difficult, probably your listeners to answer. But do you remember? I don't know whether it was Groucho Marx. I don't remember. It was on the radio. He used to ask people who was buried in Grant's tomb.
Right, I do remember that.
Buried in Grant's tomb, corny, but it's so obvious that it's funny, I think. And I could never answer. I can't remember who's buried in Grant's tomb.
It's one of those questions that's too easy that you don't think it's the answer.
Yeah, right, exactly. Hey, listen, since you were a teacher, I have a multiple choice for you.
Okay.
In terms of topic, I was thinking that we could discuss something I think you talked about earlier the week, artificial intelligence, which is a topic I'm very fond of, and I probably don't know a whole lot about, but it's a fascinating topic. That's one. Or we could talk about the president's speech, which has a lot of ramifications in terms of policy and his approval rating and all that. Or we could talk about the Amanda Knox, I guess,
verdict, the new
Italian jury, and her conviction, second conviction, which is rather fascinating and sad. Or we could talk about the Super Bowl. Of course, I lived in Denver for 5 years. 3 years in Aurora. Actually, not too far. I was stationed in the Army there in a medical hospital, Army Medical Hospital in Aurora, not too far from where the shooting took place. Then I lived in Boulder, Colorado, in graduate school for 2 years. So I lived in Colorado for 5 years of my life. Beautiful place. Great state. So guess who I'd be reporting this Sunday? Duh.
Omaha.
Hey, what topic and that
Omaha
sounds good to you?
Well, the Super Bowl is always a good topic. I think his speech would be a good topic. Artificial intelligence. That would be.
I should probably maybe cover that to some degree. Yeah, in fact, that's sort of what triggered my interest. There's, I think I mentioned in an earlier show a while back that my new congregation I go to is the Universalist Church, Unitarian Universalist Church, and a very stimulating place. And I meet a lot of people who are, college professors, lawyers, doctors, taxi drivers, whatever. And there was a fellow, I was in a seminar, we were talking about neuroscience and how, the studies about the brain and all the newest and interesting developments about the brain development and the MRI and all the, new technology that's being able to trace and document and evaluate what's going on when the brain is stimulated. So we were in this conference, and this fellow leaned over to me, and he said, have you read anything from Ray Kurzweil? I said, who? He said, Ray Kurzweil. I said, no. I said, I don't know who the heck he is. So I jotted down the name of the book, one of the books. I think it's Kurt's Wheel. Yeah, Kurt's Wheel. And I hadn't heard of him. I don't know if you guys heard of him. You're going to one up on me. But anyway, this book came out, and he's a biologist, a scientist, and he wrote this book on the singularity is near. By singularity, what he's talking about is that the emergence of human brain and what the artificial intelligence group is doing, there's a merger that one day what we call human nature may be quite different than what we know human nature to be now. In other words, that the advances in artificial intelligence are so profound and so advanced now that, as you probably know, the great Russian chess master lost a chess game to an IBM device because he was able to anticipate and see different abstractions that the chess master didn't see. I don't want to go into a lecture, but to me, it seems to me almost every week we see in the newspapers, in different articles on TV, that the robots are capable of doing many, many things that humans can't do as efficiently as a robot can do, which is basically artificial intelligence. So what are we going to look like, 20 years from now, maybe 10? By his title, The Singularity, which means the merger of these two forces, human intelligence and artificial intelligence, the merger and what we're going to look like is very near. So if I understand you correctly, then what you're saying is that as far as human experiences are concerned, it all depends upon how far we go with this artificial intelligence and what we as humans will absorb from the artificial intelligence and how that changes our perspective of things. Exactly. Boy, could you imagine now, and this is coming, I believe, and he's alluding to this in the book, this is coming where these, I don't know, call them devices, these robotic transformations are going to get to a point where we're going to be able to have conversations with them, and they'll be able to understand what we're saying, and they'll be able to think, if I can put it that way, think as humans think. And so I recently saw a movie called Her, where this fellow falls in love with a computer program. The program is very much human-like, and it has a human voice, and they have these conversations, and they're helping this guy think through his love affairs, his feelings, and what he's struggling with on the job, and so forth. Seems to me that's quite revolutionary.
Well, nowadays, I think one of the things scientists have said over the years is that what separates us from artificial intelligence, an android, is, number one, the ability to think and reason, the ability to reason and the ability to fall in love. I think if those two things are conquered, then the only difference would be, as in Carol Rossum's Universal Robots, is that can artificial intelligence, can an android, a human-looking android, reproduce?
Yeah. Well, if they can, I'd like to know how they're going to do it.
Well, but don't forget though, Felix. Don't forget though that 50 years ago it was unheard of to inseminate, to have an egg and a sperm, being inseminated in a culture and then be put into a woman's womb. I mean, the in vitro fertilization. Yeah. you're right. What they're trying to do is trying to have you think in terms of telling your arm to move or to do something, and it does it.
Yeah. There's something almost equally fascinating, and I hope it doesn't leave the topic, but the capacity to be able to, with your mind, to be able to make something move. Psychokinesis, I think it's called.
Right.
And that, to me, is equally as fascinating. If it's true, I mean, I've seen on TV, I guess as you may have, people that were capable of, making a fork bend just through their concentration of their mind, the power of the mind, to be able to have things, bend to their will, if you will, to be able to make things move, tables and chairs move. So just through the able to focus the power of thought process is, to me, equally as important, and may be related to this whole idea of artificial intelligence. I don't know how, but it just struck me as we were talking. We haven't even touched the surface of what the brain is capable of doing. Now that we know it has the capability, which is called plasticity, to be able to, as you get older, the thought was that as we get older, our neurons, fall away, and we become, we lose a lot of neurons and brain cells. But we know that with proper exercise and stimulation, that we can actually create new cells. And believe me, I have to work very hard at doing that, because I think sometimes I can't remember, people's names in my family. So, I don't know what your thoughts on that are, in terms of the capacity of being able to use the concentration of mind to be able to, make things happen.
Well, they've always said for years that we only use a certain percentage of our brain. The rest is just a mystery. And like you've just said, if we can somehow learn to harness the parts of the brain that are not being used right now, it's amazing what we could probably accomplish.
Exactly.
I know, I've seen a couple of those. If you give them a date, they could remember everything that happened on that day.
Savants. Idiot savants, I think they're called. Savants, yeah.
No, savant.
Savants, yeah.
Mary Lou Henner.
Right.
Yes, I just saw a report on him. You see, they've never found a child that young. It's just amazing, if they could follow him over the years, to see how he develops it, as far as not just in terms of remembering, but how to use that memory.
Yeah. It's funny you mention, because a few years back I was involved in a community theater group. So I was in about a dozen plays. And I was sure you get nervous before you go on, but, that I was so disciplined in learning my lines that it came automatic. And it was, after a while, when you knew your character and you felt comfortable doing it, doing the show, it was really fun being on stage. So I had the opportunity and the good fortune to be in some pretty funny Neil Simon plays, for example. But there was one time, more than once actually, but there was one time we were doing this play, California Suite, and I had the funniest role. And I was just enjoying it, having a great time, and I had a tremendous young woman who was my counterpart, my actress, playing my wife, and I completely lost it. I mean, I don't know where my head went. I was into the show. It's not as though I was nervous. And luckily, I was standing close to where a prompter was. So actually, another actress wasn't even a prompter because we didn't have a prompter. But there was an actress standing by a doorway, and she knew that I was in trouble. I couldn't think of the next line to say. And my poor wife, playing my wife's role, didn't know what to do. So there was a moment, and I'm not sure that the backstage characters, waiting to go on, and the director were, terrified, thinking, "Oh my God, Don lost the lines," and all the woman who was waiting to come on next, the next actress, knew the line, and she gave me the line, whispered it in my ear because she knew I was stumbling, and I went right back, and the play went right on. It never happened again, but what happens to the mind in those instances is something quite fascinating to me.
Well, it's just like they say, you go completely blank, and literally that's what it is. You just go completely blank. You just forget. There's not a hint of what comes next.
Yeah, but if you were to do an experiment now, because of the new technology to be able to see what lights up in the brain, they're able to know what parts of the brain are active and what parts are not. It would have been interesting if we could have done an experiment at that time, wiring me up, so to speak, to see what happened, when I lost it. And that continues to be fascinating to me. I'll tell you, Lord knows, we're just skimming the surface of understanding.
Do you remember the movie? And they have since remade it, and I can't remember the title. Frank Sinatra starred as a lieutenant coming back after World War II or Korea. I'm not sure which.
Manchurian Candidate.
Manchurian Candidate, exactly. I mean, they were brainwashed to the point where all it took was one phone call and one question. For years could go by, and they would just be their regular selves. But if somebody had called up and asked this one question, all of a sudden they're brought back to that moment, and they know exactly what they have to do.
Right. That's what they call conditioning. Pavlov's conditioning, like a bell went off.
Pavlov's dogs, yeah.
Remember that old classic? Well, that's what I guess the Koreans did. They had it down to a science, at least supposedly, where in this particular case, the mother in the movie would make the phone call, as you indicated, and would say, "Let's play cards." And all of a sudden, the mind clicks into that mode where they're like hypnotized.
Right.
And she says, once they get to, I forgot what the card was. I think it was a Queen of Spades or something. And once the soldier came to see the Queen of Spades, he was completely susceptible to
he was in the zone.
He was in the zone. He was completely vulnerable, completely susceptible to what the suggestion was. So I think there's a funny scene where, I can't think the actor's name, Frank Sinatra was in it. I'm trying to think, Lawrence Harvey. Lawrence Harvey, the actor, the great British actor.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody nearby, he was in that zone, as you said, and someone said, Frank Sinatra said, I'll go jump in a lake. All of a sudden, you see him, like, robotically, leaves the hotel or his home. He's walking down the street, and he goes to Central Park, and Frank Sinatra's following him, saying, "What's going on? Where's he going?" He's walking very like a robot. He walks. He goes onto like a pier, and he jumps into the lake because someone told him to jump in the lake because he was in that zone. It's a sad story. And sure. Listen, one of the greatest courses I took at the University of Cincinnati was clinical hypnosis. And we used to experiment.
Is that like mob psychology?
I'm sorry, what?
Sort of like mob psychology?
Mob psychology? No. Now you're stumping me. No, this was serious stuff because this is clinical course in hypnosis and how we'd be able to help, when we went into practice, how we would help, patients and clients and so forth. But what I wanted to get to was, what fascinated me was one of the things we were doing as we were experimenting on ourselves as students was to have to imagine. See, a great thing is the whole idea of hypnosis and what we were talking about in Manchurian Candidate was to condition the mind so it's so focused that you're susceptible to the involuntary nervous system. And what I mean by that, and I'll give you an example, is one of the experiments that we were doing on ourselves as students was imagining that as we sat in our chairs with our eyes closed in a deep relaxed state, not out, but we were in a deep relaxed state of what was happening around us, but we imagined that a string or a rope was tied to our wrist, and high in the air was it tied to a balloon full of helium. And we had to imagine we were not going to lift our hands voluntarily, but we had to imagine that the balloon full of helium lifted our arm. It happened. An astounding thing, and I couldn't believe it was happening, that quite involuntarily, I just imagined the balloon was lifting my hand and it went straight up in the air. I'd say about 7 or 8 inches off the arm of the chair.
Well, I'll tell you a story. When my son was a freshman in Johnson and Wales, they had a parents' weekend, and we were all under a tent, and they had a hypnotist. And he called up certain people, and he hypnotized them. But my wife was sitting opposite me at the table, and he said, "You're getting tired, your eyelids are closing, blah, blah, blah." And she closed her eyes. And then he said, "Raise your left hand." And she's raising her left hand. And I pointed to one of the people that we were with, and I pointed to Ellen. She must be very susceptible, because she was not up there. She was just listening to the program the way we were, but she was doing everything that he was telling them to do, she was doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of idea that I was expressing. That, and if you ask her, did you lift your hand voluntarily?
She'll say no.
The guy wanted you to, then she would say no.
Exactly. We had the other people at the table had to tell her that that's exactly what she was doing.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a funny story, if I may. Now that I had the 2 courses in hypnosis, now I'm armed now. I really understand how the mind works. Okay, so this is in Cincinnati, where I was going to graduate school, and we were visiting a woman who became my sister-in-law. We were having dinner at their house. She was married and so on, and my wife-to-be was with me. So the 4 of us had dinner. And we went into the living room, and the coffee was being made in the kitchen. So we started talking, and my sister-in-law to be said, "Gee, I understand, you know hypnosis." And I said, "Yeah, that's all she had to do, just bring it up, the topic up." And of course, I said, "Oh yeah," I said, would you like to have me, see how it works with you?" "Oh," she said, "Oh yes." "It's okay." I said, have a seat, sit, and let your mind relax. And I went through the process of going through. Your mind relaxing. You're feeling good, and you're tranquil. I go through the whole process. So I decided, just for the fun of it, to plan a post-hypnotic suggestion. I said, by the way, when I ask you to open your eyes, you'll be feeling really great, relaxed, and, feeling terrific and calm and all that. So, but I said, what you're going to find is when you stand up, the feet are going to get stuck on the floor. So I said, okay, now open your eyes. And this was a process of about 15, no longer than 20 minutes, 15 minutes, I would say. So she stands up, and I said, okay, I guess you're going to get coffee for us. And she said, oh, yes. I said, okay. So her husband says, well, go get it. And my wife, to be, says, what are you waiting for? I didn't say anything. She said, and then she started making excuses. Well, let's see, I like standing here. And you can see the rationalizations, which is even a fascinating thing, how we defend ourselves, against being unable to do something or not feeling that we can do something. It was kind of an exercise in that kind of defense mechanisms of, rationalizations. So I said, you don't want to get the coffee? She says, well, I will in a minute. I just, feel like standing here. So I said, what's the matter? And she said, I don't know. And I said, my feet are stuck. I said, what do you mean your feet are stuck? She said, yeah, you're kind of stuck here. Anyway, I said, listen, I didn't want to overdo this. I said, okay, you know what? You're okay. You can move. Fine. She says, oh, okay, thanks. So she goes in the kitchen and she gets the coffee. To me, it was a fascinating situation where, and she was highly susceptible. I mean, I couldn't believe how susceptible she was to this. Now, the interesting thing is what makes somebody susceptible and somebody not. First place, you got to understand the relationship you have with someone. Now, she liked me and I liked her, and she trusts me and I trust her, kind of thing. So that's usually very, very important. And she respected me, and she thought I was a real intelligent guy and going to graduate school and all that. She barely finished high school herself. At any rate, but you know what? The fact that she was so susceptible, people think, and I want to clear this up for any of your listeners, that doesn't mean you're weak-minded, that you're so susceptible perhaps to take suggestions. It might even be a strength to be able to, listen and accept, suggestions and ideas. So maybe an openness of mind. So, but anyway, I just wanted to relate because it's a funny story that I like to tell, particularly when I'm at a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they start to play games.
Yeah, right. Especially when you can't move your feet. Anyway, but well, I tell.
I put the phone away from my mouth. I didn't want you to get sick, Phil.
Is it you that are sick, Marc?
I have a persistent cough for the last 3 weeks.
Oh,
can't seem to get rid of it.
I hope hopefully you're feeling better and getting better.
I hope so, too. The cough is becoming softer, so I'm just hoping that maybe it'll just be another couple of weeks and maybe it'll finally be gone. But I mean, once you get a cough, then all of a sudden you start hurting your ribs because you're coughing so much. The good thing is my lungs are clear. I don't have pneumonia, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope you continue to get better.
Thank you. I'm waiting for Dr. Don to hypnotize me, so I'll close my mouth. See, that would be a trick. That would really be a trick.
Oh, no, it would be a miracle, not a trick. Guys, let me sign off. There's always a topic to discuss. The Bridgegate situation, the letter that Wildstein, is that his name?
David Wildstein.
Yeah.
It seems to be getting worse and worse.
Yeah, I guess his lawyer had submitted a letter alleging that he has evidence, we don't know what that is, that apparently Christie was not telling the truth about knowing early on about the study they were doing.
Christie's lawyer, and Christie himself said that he had no prior knowledge. Now, on the news, they froze on this phrase, prior knowledge, and they said Nobody said that he had prior knowledge, just that as it was happening, he had knowledge of what was going on. He never said he didn't have knowledge at the time. Just that nobody ever told him prior to that.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, if that's true, then the bottom line is he knew what was going on, and he did nothing to stop it. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, to my mind, his style, his management style or executive style is top down. I mean, he knows everything I think he knows everything that's going on, particularly everything important. Is it possible that he had no idea that 4 days that bridge was having that kind of problem? I mean,
well, you see, that's the whole thing. His style of governing is, I'm the one in charge, and I always know what's going on. Okay? So, all of a sudden, to claim that you had no knowledge at all of what was going on at the time seems out of character for somebody like him.
Doesn't it? Yeah. Doesn't it? Now, it's possible. I mean, first place, everybody's rushing to judgment. Who knows? We don't know really the facts. So this is going to take a while. This is not going to be solved, in my opinion, in a couple of weeks. This could go on for months. I mean, there's the people that are being subpoenaed. Well, yeah, somebody, I think one of the papers in New Jersey, was it the Ledger? I don't know. One of the papers in New Jersey had alluded to that if he's really caught in a lie, so to speak, then it could be. It could be a criminal offense. He could be impeached. It could be jail time. Who knows? But we can't. I hate to rush to judgment. I happen to like him. I did like him. I'm a Democrat, but I happen to like him. But not now. I mean, I think now you begin to wonder.
Because you see, somebody like that begins to feel that he's above the law.
That's right.
And when you start to feel like you're above the law, I mean, then there's something wrong already. The laws are there for a reason, and that's why when you watch the Lady Justice with the scales, she's always blindfolded. Okay, you're not supposed to take sides. You're not supposed to know. You're not favoring one side or the other. All you're going after is the truth. Like Sergeant Friday used to say, "Just the facts, ma'am. Just the facts."
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it'll come out in the wash. I think it's going to be a process to watch, because it's going to be a while. It's going to take a while. Now, if he really has the ambition to become president, to be a candidate, which I think he does, and I don't think he's made any big secret about it. He's kind of the lead Republican person right now. I mean, if this goes on for months and years, this is not going to augur very well for him. I think it's going to be tough.
Well, you know what they just said on the news today? I mean, and I heard this from a couple of different sources. Don't be surprised if Mitt Romney doesn't think about running in 2016. He keeps saying he's not a candidate. But from what I've seen and what I heard, this film, Mitt, is very favorable, number one. It shows him in a different light as a family man. In fact, they had asked him on Fox News, what was wrong with your campaign? He says, what was wrong with my campaign was me. In other words, the way he came across.
Yeah, exactly.
There's really no one else that really would come close. I mean, you have Rand Paul with 20%.
Yeah. Is the film out, by the way? Is the film out, Mitt?
It's supposed to be out on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's not going to be in the theaters, in other words.
No, I don't. Unless they move to I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think.
No, well, he was always thinking about it, but I think he's going to listen to his mother. All kidding aside, she doesn't want to see another son. She, according to her, and there's a lot to be said for it. There are other political families out there other than Bushes and Clintons to run for president. Okay, I think she'd rather have her son just do whatever it is he's doing now, and that's it. Well, he's always been looking into it. He would be the most moderate of all the candidates. It would be interesting to see if Romney wants to come back into the fold. You know, is he going to try to portray himself as so far to the right as he was before? Okay, or is he going to lean more toward the center? Because he really is a centrist. You know, he's not a conservative. He was trying to make himself a conservative to please the power in the Republican right. But he was a moderate in Massachusetts. I mean, like he always likes to say, you know, I was a Republican with a Democratic legislature and we got things done. Well, you got things done because you knew how to work together, work across party lines.
Yeah.
Right now in the Republican Party, that's a taboo. I mean, look at what Arizona wants to do with McCain. You know, they want to have him lose his conservative status because he leans over the line too many times, tries to work in concert with Democrats on certain things.
What you're alluding to, Mark, is a little civil war going on in the Republican Party, actually.
Yeah, basically.
This is Dan.
Dan, how are you?
You guys are boring me.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'm sorry, another boring conversation is Obama. Well, what was he? I don't understand his address.
Dan? Who's Obama?
Who is he? Exactly right. I mean, I don't. I just excuse my French, but diarrhea in the mouth. What is he talking about?
What do you mean about?
Well, he just. Is Dr. Don on the phone right now?
Yeah. You know, you talk about Obama's State of the Union. I think it was a great speech. I think it was terrific. He was positive. He got into particular policies, the can-do attitude. I think it was one of his best speeches I've ever heard.
They're getting upset because he's talking about presidential using his presidential powers.
Yeah, right.
Using executive power to get things done. He's only used executive power, according to the paper, 168 times. George W. Bush in 8 years used it over 350 times. Okay? I mean, nobody ever said anything when Bush decided to exercise executive power. Okay? What I heard today on the news is that this Republican Party is trying to erase any remembrance of Barack Obama's 8 years as president when he leaves. Okay? That it was a big mistake and you should take an eraser and just erase these 8 years.
I absolutely right. I agree with that. I think they're really trying to affect his, whatever legacy that he is trying to establish, whether it's health care, whether it's helping, education and all the standard democratic initiatives. I think what the Republicans are trying to do is to really get in the way of him making some strides and achievements. Oh, that's great. That's great for democracy. Yeah. Here's something to think about. His speech, in my opinion, of course I'm a Democrat, obviously, but his speech, in my opinion, was fabulous. It was really very, very good. And a lot of commentators later after had said that. But now think of the Republican reply. It was so lukewarm. What her name was? Councilman or Senator Rogers, was that her name?
Kathy McMorris Rogers. All she did was say, well, we Republicans have a heart, we have a plan, but then she stopped.
Yeah,
what was the plan?
What's the plan? All she did was but she told a very nice, folksy story about her life, and that was very nice. She did a nice job of that. But, it was empty. All she talked about was, smaller government and lower taxes. Well, okay, we heard that before, but then what? Then it was her, telling about her life and how she worked her way up. Great. But it was empty. It was empty. Compared to Obama's speech, are you kidding me? There was no comparison.
Dr. Don, Obama is a wonderful speaker, but I'm just asking you, what has he done? He speaks great. Awesome speaker. I feel great after I hear him, but nothing happens. Is it his fault? Maybe it's not.
That's not what he had heard.
I get angry when people say, "What has he done?"
I know.
He's got a Republican-controlled Congress that vetoes him and says no every time he comes up with an idea. And if they want to get something through, they attach certain addendum to whatever law so that their particular state or region will get something out of it. Like with Sandy relief. And what does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Mark, look, Dr. Mark, all I see is my paycheck getting smaller and smaller every day. And promise, which nothing happens. However, I just don't see him. I know you're getting angry with me now, but I don't see him do anything for me or my generation. Nothing's going on.
Well, then let me, Dan, let me ask you. Okay.
No, go ahead, Mark. Go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, but what are you expecting to do? To say the state of our union sucks?
But well, right. What I'm saying is that it was fascinating, guys, to see I should say fascinating, interesting to see Boehner, Democrats. The film just showed, the TV just showed Democrats all clapping. If you see the Republicans, they're not even clapping. Boehner behind them.
No, but that happens a lot.
That's a lot about our.
But you expect that.
I don't, but it says a lot about our country, how divided we are. You see Biden clapping up, jumping up and down, and Boehner sitting there and smiling.
Well, that's, yeah, do you know why? Because you have twice as many people out of work as when practically, when he first took over office, because companies are closing, people are being laid off. Middle-class people, for the first time in their lives, are falling onto government assistance in order to feed their family, pay their mortgage. They can't find jobs. Okay, these are people who, for the most part, are in their late 40s, early 50s. For many of them, it's sort of too late to be retrained. Okay, what are they going to do? Because anytime he put forth a jobs program, it was vetoed by the House, and the House is controlled by Republicans. Okay, when you ask where's the beef, that's the truth. The Republicans are the ones who fought the farm bill because they felt it had too much. They cut $4 billion over 10 years from the SNAP program, which are food stamps, because they figured they don't need it. The farm bill was always passed in prior governments, whether it's Republican or Democrat.
Felix, You know, what strikes me is when we raise the issue about food stamps, what strikes me behind something like that is a deeper feeling that a lot of it is abused, like welfare. You know, that a lot of it's abused and it ain't right. We pay taxes, we work hard, and who are they to come off and get these things free? I think that's kind of... Yeah. Well, I mean, Mark...
Well, we know this. We know that the unemployment rate is a false rate because many people no longer file for unemployment because they can't get it, okay? Many people have stopped looking for work because it would take 2 or 3 part-time jobs not even to come close to making a decent salary, okay? People are at their wits' end, you know, I mean, and I'm talking about, you know, people who lose their homes, you know, lose their jobs. They don't know what they're going to do because they can't do anything else. You know, back during Roosevelt's time, he created jobs. He created the Civilian Conservation Corps, the WPA, and he put people back to work on roads and doing all kinds of things, and they got paid for the time a decent wage where it wasn't considered welfare, okay? These people on welfare, on public assistance now, do you think that they really relish being on public assistance? They'd much rather be out there working and feeling like they're producing and doing something for the economy. You'd be self-sufficient.
That. I feel like they're contributing something.
Exactly.
Well, here's what's wrong. Guys, look, this was happening the other day on the news. Here's what's wrong with our country. This guy, I think Levittown, he was so upset with the potholes in his roads. I think he has heard it, maybe. He did it himself. You know what? He got fined for doing it. Trying to fix the damn roads himself. He's trying to do the right thing, and he gets a fine for doing it. That's so funny. You know?
I remember once having a conversation with my former father-in-law about potholes and everything, and he said, you know, he says, the bottom line is, he says, if the Department of Transportation was to fix these things properly, they'd be out of a job. So they fix it so that they last for a couple of years. You get a couple of winters of frost and then heat in the summer, and they're back again, and they're back filling the same potholes. You know, I mean, you know, back during Marx and Engels, the Communist Manifesto, you know, originally only the inner party was supposed to have power for about 5 or 6 years, and they were supposed to turn it over to the proletariat. But the problem was that these people in power got so used to being in power that they found all these reasons not to turn the power back to the people. Okay? And that's the problem that you have. It's bureaucracy.
Sounds like our Congress.
Well, yeah, don't be mad at Obama, you know, for that. That's certainly not his fault. And the thing is, somebody said the other day, we'll get a little bit more done this year because it's an election year in Congress, okay? One of the congressmen today, a Republican from Kansas, Camp, I think his name was, said that Obama is so down on Congress, but he says, the American people sent us back here, which is something that Felix and I have been talking about forever. The problem is, nobody really wants to run for Congress because they know about all the BS that goes on there. So what happens? The same people wind up getting sent back there, but that doesn't mean that they have a mandate to do what they're doing. They think they do. But all they're doing is building up their coffers and becoming wealthy and doing favors for certain people. And you and I seem to, and what we need, or what the American people need, seems to be lost in the process.
Exactly. I saw a statistic the other day, which I tend to believe, that people in Congress spend 70% of their time fundraising.
Especially if they're congressmen in their second year, that's all they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You know, if they're going to get anything done, it's got to be in the first year that they're in Congress. By that I mean, let's say 2014 is an election year. The year 2015, they have to get a lot done. Why? Because in 2016, they're worried about being reelected again.
Reelected again, exactly.
Yeah, you have a vote of confidence like they do in England and in Israel, and if you can't measure up in the vote of confidence, then the other party takes over.
Well, we have to remember, going back to what Dan was saying, what has Obama done? We have to remember when he first came into office, the tremendous inheritance, financial crisis that he inherited, and he had his wend his way out of it. And I think he actually helped the country stave off a depression.
He certainly did.
And that to me was a big thing that he did. And and also to have the courage to tackle health care, where Clinton was unable to do it because, again, Congress, I don't know about the approach that Hillary was taking, but apparently it wasn't the right one. But since then, did Bush come up with any ideas about our health care? I don't think so. I don't remember.
You see, Congress hated Hillary back then for the simple reason that she was the first lady. What the hell is she getting involved in politics for? You know, first ladies are only supposed to attend garden parties and
decorate the White House.
And decorate the White House and open up new libraries. You know, that's all. But how many times does he have to apologize for this? You know, he's done everything but grovel. You know. And it's not very nice to see a president grovel, but he's done everything but grovel to apologize and say, you know, it wasn't rolled out properly, I'm sorry. Things were said that... Well...
Thank you, Felix. I thank you. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, but you know something? I have to go back to what I said before. If more people, and this is just a matter of numbers, if more people were to register, the premiums would go down. They have to.
Yeah.
The problem is they're not getting young people to register because young people still feel that they are impervious to ill health and accidents, and they'd rather pay the penalty until, God forbid, something happens or they get into a car accident or they pick up some disease that no one knows anything about, and all of a sudden then they'll welcome it because they have a pre-existing condition, okay, and they'll still be able to get insurance. But the bottom,
it can always go to an emergency hospital if it's something urgent, too.
Yeah, you know, the bottom line is, if you don't get more, you know, he can't bend people's arms and say, you must do this, you have to do this, you know. What he did was set up a penalty, and you know something? Most people would rather pay the penalty than register for insurance, and that's why the people who registered are paying high premiums now.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like Obama's approach to, you know, health insurance. Everybody, he just went about the wrong way and failing the computer system he did. And, you know, people don't like being told, as Americans, don't be like told what to do. And you're going to be penalized. Like Canada, I wish he would have done that type of thing. Canada, they just tax, I think we talked about this once before, but Canada,
right, you were talking about the VAT tax.
It's called, you know, alcohol tax, food tax, and healthcare tax. So you buy milk, whatever, $3, and you tax whatever, 20 cents. But everyone's covered. But this thing, what he's doing was just, he went about the wrong way. I'm sure he had good intentions, he just went about the wrong way.
But you know something? Even if America had a VAT tax, people would complain about that.
You know, I think who was that? Who was the guy who was the presidential candidate? The president. He wanted to add 10 cents a gallon every on gas, just to cover, get down on the debt. What the heck was his name? Dr. Don. What was his name?
I don't know who you're referring to. Is it Republican or Democrat? It must have been Republican, right? Yeah.
No, I told him 20 years ago. What was his name? Memory is so short that we forget something going back to what was Obama done. Do you remember, not so long ago, he put his presidency on the line when he sent those Navy SEALs to go get bin Laden? Remember that? How tense that was?
And do you remember when it was? It was the day. It was the day before. It was the day after the
9/11.
No, it was the day after the annual dinner where the president gets roasted by the press and everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. But, I mean, he put everything on the line. You imagine if that failed? He got killed. Plus, the helicopter was dangerous enough. Could you imagine if Obama wasn't there, bin Laden wasn't there, and they shot some woman and somebody else, some kid? Could you imagine if that failed? He put his presidency on the line. That took guts. Don't tell me he hasn't done anything for this country. Come on now. I do get animated. I do when someone says, who's the one that's really fighting to raise the minimum wage?
Well, what is the minimum wage? What's 10 cents? I mean, who's that? I think that's going to hurt people on anything. 10 cents. What? I mean, it's not first off. It's for the government, right? It's not for people working at McDonald's, correct?
Of course it is.
But all right, Felix, I like the increased minimum wage, but what's going to happen? That means they're going to go up. I mean, this is going to pass on to the consumer. That's what it's going to mean.
The list goes on and on about what he is trying to do. Take global warming or climate change. How many Republicans deny that it exists, that there's a problem? Even today, when there's a great amount of evidence now, that the ozone layer is thinned out and there's gaps in it, that the water level is rising, that the storms now are, all these different storms and so forth, have increased over the years. And a lot of people saying, "Oh, that's just a cycle."
Dr. Don, how is 10-10? I mean, you know damn well it's going to...
I'm talking about that. I'm talking about global warming now.
Well, Felix doesn't believe in global warming.
Some, but not most. I think there's now a strong consensus now that there is a phenomenon that has taken place, man-made, due to the gas that is going up into the atmosphere, that is man-made and that is real. I think now quite a bit of evidence that it's true. And there are some scientists, yes, some. I don't think that's an accurate statistic, but I guess it depends upon where it's published.
Felix, were you not doing the backstroke after Sandy on your block?
But you know what, Felix? You want proof? Well, they're proving that the water level has risen, maybe a few inches, but it has risen, and they're predicting that in another maybe 10, 15 years, you live in the South Shore, you might be doing a backstroke.
Well, maybe not, because but what I can tell you is, I'm, again, 40 years old now. I have not seen a normal spring, a non-normal summer, and I've never seen temperatures drop 30 degrees as we experienced the other day. How do you have this, you have 60-degree weather all down to 30? I've never seen that before. I mean, there's no more springs, there's no more summers. They could.
See, have you seen pictures of China lately? Some of those cities where people are walking around with masks, they can't even breathe the air.
Hey, listen, just go to Los Angeles if you want to see smog. I mean, of course, I'm joking, but seriously. Oh, that was the snowstorm to beat all snowstorms. I mean, it was terrible, I heard.
Yeah, well, I wasn't born then in the 47. No, I'm just kidding. In fact, I don't remember it that well. Was that the time when? I'm trying to think now. 47. Oh man, I was thinking of one that happened. I was thinking of the one when I was living in Flushing, Queens, and it was a hell of a storm. And I was coming in from the city, and the buses weren't running. I had to walk home. It was a terrible storm. And the mayor, whoever the mayor was, I think it was early 80s, maybe. Late 70s?
It sounds like Lindsay's administration in the 70s.
I think you're right. I think it was Lindsay. He got beaten the heck because they were so unprepared, and it was terrible. It was terrible. I think it was in the late 70s, I think.
Hey, listen, no, it was earlier than that because it was in the late 60s. It was in the late 60s because I remember living in Rockaway, and the buses and the cars were stuck in the middle of the streets.
Right,
they had to be abandoned on Beach Channel Drive.
Well, we're forgetting something. Those are big snowstorms, and they happen. But look at the evidence. Again, scientists are saying the temperatures have risen, statistically so. The water level has risen, statistically so, and it's a trend. And the ozone layer has thickened, has weakened and thinned, and that's a fact. So, how much more evidence you want? Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Well, guys, listen, it's past my bedtime. I have to save energy so I can talk with you again.
Okay. Good talking to you again, Dr. Don.
Okay, good talk with you guys.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you have a good one, too.
Bye-bye.
Wait, guys, I'm still here. I'm not done yet.
Did you happen to hear on the news today that Obama is easing his restrictions on the Keystone Pipeline? Okay, because one of the things is hopefully it'll bring more jobs to that area in Pennsylvania and all along that pipeline route. Now I understand it's an election year coming up. I mean, he's not running for anything, but I guess he's worried about Democrats running in Congress, and picking up some seats and not losing too many seats, whatever, and maybe putting more people back to work. That might have something to do with it as well, But, I remember talking with a friend of mine down in Florida about, he says we could do a lot more to be energy self-sufficient than we're doing because everybody's worried about the atmosphere,
Well, the problem with being energy efficient is that how is the government going to tax us on being solar powered, and that's the whole problem. Everyone look, I make money on gas. Felix and I in the same industry. I made a lot of money off of charging customers, passing on to the customers to 30% fuel. So, if I started off in industry, trucking, and air freight, there was no fuel surcharge. And whatever, the fuel still great. I don't know, it's somewhere 2%, 5%, 10%, 15%, 30%, I was getting paid. I was making money, so was everyone else on fuel. So now the government's going to try to figure out how to make money on solar energy, or, they're going to figure it out somehow. Right, raising the rates, but Felix, I'm sure. Well, everyone's, that's the whole problem with the fuel. Whenever you get by this, everybody's making money off it. So, but the problem is, I do believe in clean air, clean energy, and solar power. But how do you make money off of it? If everyone uses the sun or batteries, how do you make money off of that? Well, the problem with our government is a lot of it is just this type of thing. You plug your car into your garage. How is anyone going to make money? We're going to lose a lot of jobs in our country if we plug our cars into the socket. We're going to lose so many jobs. Yeah, but the problem is you lose 100 jobs. You lose 100 jobs with whatever. Just for example, 100 jobs you lose. Well, meanwhile, some guy in the garage will say what's his name? Probably Google guy. You'll be putting one laptop can blow away like all the PC computers now. Blow so many jobs now. PCs are all gone now. Everybody uses laptops and cell phones. So we just lost the whole industry. So, I'm losing my voice here, guys. Yes, I'm working every week.
Glad we got you got the call.
Good. Well, I got a lot of money on the games Sunday, but
I don't have any money on it, but I'd like to see Peyton win.
To me, it doesn't matter. I'd rather love Peyton than Denver. That's what I'd rather have win. But you know what? And unfortunately, I put too much money on the games, and it doesn't matter to me because the money-wise, it's all about numbers. You get the numbers. I tell you what. I win by 3, win by 4, 8, whatever. I want Denver to win. And they got just shot it, but so is Seattle.
I tell you, they're both very good quarterbacks. Yep. Wilson has a great future in the NFL. Yep. Peyton Manning is toward the end of his career. I don't know if he'll get to do it again, but I really would like to see Peyton win one more Super Bowl before he goes out. So I'm rooting for Denver.
I agree. I think it was probably last year or maybe one more. Who knows? But
he claims he has one more. He says it's not going to be his last game, but you never know what the winter brings, what the summer brings, and you never know what kind of spring training he's going to have, and how much more difficult it'll be for him to get out there. So I'd like to see him win.
He said right. He said right. Like you're saying, he said one more after this, one more year. But I hope Denver does it. But I'm just sure money-wise, it doesn't matter to me. I want to just tell you what the spread is. That's all.
How about you, Felix?
It's funny with this talking about sports with the stadium, how the ticket prices drop because it's a West Coast and East Coast thing. People flying from all over from West Coast to here, New York, New Jersey. We don't care. We don't care about the teams.
Trump was a little disappointed that the stadium may not be sold out.
I know that's what's so sad because it's all obviously I think about the other show that it's just funny that people flying in are thinking they're going to New York Giants, New York Jets. You go to New Jersey, you go to Rutherford, New Jersey.
And when you stop to think about, I think the temperature at game time is supposed to be anywhere from 25 to 30 degrees. If you're an East Coast football fan, okay, that's normal temperature for a football game. If you're not in a dome stadium, people who come from the southern climates in our west, they're not going to want to pay $3,000 to sit in 19-degree temperatures,
Right. Well, you know what? Not nobody. I'm sure everyone thought about it. These tickets are going $1,200 for $2,000. Now it's $1,100. I mean, you got to consider the teams are. There's people, the fans, their fans, are flying, whatever, $400 or $500 plane ticket, paying for $200-300 rooms. And I mean, how much money do you spend to see a game? I don't know about you. I've been to football games and live games before at the stadium in New Jersey, but you know what? I'd rather sit home while I have a beer and look at TV screen.
It's true. I'd rather relax in my own living room, have a nice Euro sandwich, a soda, and then when
You
exactly,
get to see the replays, that Domino's pizza, the beer, and but these people flying from it's sad because both teams are all out west. So all these people fly over here, spending like I said, $400 or $500 a ticket, and then spend the plane, airfare, hotel, $300-400 a night. And then
you also have to rethink in an economy that we have now.
Right.
Can we really afford these things that cost so much money? I mean, when you stop and think $2,000, $2,500 for a ticket, what that money could do for a family out of work,
Right. I mean, it's right. Don't forget, just saying one person. Imagine a family of 4 come over here. Who's just spend $10,000 to come get in the rain or come into some zero temperature or snow? Who wants to do that?
There has to be something when you read a headline coming out of Davos where they had these meetings with the billionaires, and 85 people in the world make more money than 3.5 billion people in the world.
So?
Only 85 people make more money than 3.5 billion people in the world. It's amazing.
I'm asleep on that one, Dr. Marc.
You won't sleep on that one. That's the problem. None of us will.
That's a good one to think of. That's the first time I ever heard that from somebody. That's weird. Think of it that way.
Anyway, Dan, it was great hearing from you.
Okay. Well, we'll do it again next week.
We'll be here Monday.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be with you on Monday after I win this pool, I hope.
Or if it's anything like when you go to Atlantic City or Connecticut, Mohegan Sun, if you could break even, you're doing okay.
Guys, after the whole show tonight, it's called the Coffee Club. I did not have a cup of coffee out there on your show.
You did not? Well, shame on you. I've had 2 or 3.
Well, all right.
Felix is still working on his first. No, you ushered me into the other room because there was an echo. He kicked me out of the room.
Dr. Marc, say it one more time. That's the statistic. 85 with people. Say that one more time. I have to think about this.
Hey, listen. I'm just happy that nobody stumped me tonight. It was supposed to be Stump Dr. Marc, and nobody stumped me. Nobody asked me any questions, but nobody stumped me. Oh, okay, what? I'd like to think so. No idea. I'm strictly a Julian calendar man, 365 and then 366 in leap year. I have no idea. I don't even know what the months are called. So you'd stump me there too. 10 maybe? Maybe 10? Well, I was hoping you'd have the answer. I gotta Google these things. How am I gonna Google? I have nothing here to Google on. The New Year, what, in Jewish religion? Within a month, basically, yeah. Sometimes it's early September, sometimes it's late September, and I remember a few times when it occurred the beginning of October, so I would say within 30 days, yeah. No, that I'm almost sure about. That you could take to the bank. You mean Dan? Dan, not that.
Okay, Dr. Don, find out. So, Mark, you felt like you weren't fooled tonight with stump on?
Well, what you should have had was the answer handy.
That's a good one.
Yeah, why not? I'm on a roll. I only got one right so far.
I got a few of them. Let's see.
How many months have 28 days?
Oh, I hate that one. February. Oh, that's a good one. You're gonna stop me on that. Oh, jeez.
Felix, what about you? No, you didn't give me an answer. How many months have 28 days?
All right, Mark, I got one for you.
They all have 28 days.
What's the capital, Mark? What's the capital of Nova Scotia?
Of who?
Nova Scotia. Capital.
Nova Scotia.
What?
Up Canada way. Brunswick?
Best part is, I don't know either. But there is one, though.
I think it's New Brunswick.
Brunswick?
We don't bury survivors.
That wasn't funny. That's not a funny joke. Jesus, God. If you just flush the toilet, that was a bad one. Flush the toilet. That was a bad one.
All right.
Now, Dan, you weren't here before, but Felix was trying the sound effects, and the only two that worked were the two that he really cares about. The fart sound and the flushing of the toilet.
Oh, God.
There you go.
We might have a show here. At least I'm going to check out. But before you know, we're going to say if a train travels this way and the other train travels that way, what time are they going to meet, you know?
That used to be a favorite question on
I
the SAT math test.
Yeah, it was. I got it wrong every time. If a train travels this way, I hate that question.
If you had a train traveling 45 miles going south and a train traveling 45 miles going north, the trains would seem like they're standing still if you were to look out the window.
Right.
Because you're both going at the same speed.
Right. He's got that one wrong. Now, that's like someone that what's in question is if you drop a penny off the Empire State Building, they say it will go through, it will go through someone's head. Or through somebody.
Yes, it would. Just like the question that they use now on television, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, does it make a sound?
Oh, I love that. I love that commercial. The Geico guy.
Yeah.
Whatever, Geico. It's making noise.
That's right.
I don't know. It's the same thing about the bear shit in the woods, you know. That's funny. The good question. I love the noise one because, right, if you don't hear it, there's a sound.
I think it's more interesting to find out how many Charmin napkins he uses to wipe himself. Does he use 2 or 3? You know, I mean, really.
I know. I don't know.
That's usually the answer.
I've never seen a bear shit, Felix. I don't know about you. I've never seen one. I don't know. Me neither. So I've never seen it. I've never heard a tree fall.
Thank goodness. I hope I never do.
I did do it Sandy, though. I heard. I did hear a tree fall in my yard. I don't know. I heard that from Sandy. I heard it crashing. Like, what the hell was that? So I did hear trees falling.
Well,
anyway.
I don't know about you guys, but it's almost past my bedtime.
Yeah, let's go, guys. Good night. Go ahead. What's the call again?
That's my cue. I have to feed them. That's why they like me and they don't like Felix, because I feed them. Anyway, Dan, thanks for calling in. When did he go? Oh, my goodness.
People, everybody, it's echo time.
No, there's no echo.
Echo.
I don't know.
There's an echo. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Have a good night, and we'll
have a good weekend.
And we'll see you Monday. Good night.
Bye-bye. How long are we on?
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.